on the floor of the NGX, right, where more than 10 billion shares of First Holdco, that is the parent company of First Bank, was traded. More than 10 billion shares valued at approximately 325 billion naira. It got into the coffers of entities controlled by a former chairman of First Bank, that is Oba Otudeko, and then the group managing director of Leadway Assurance, Tunde Hassan Odukale. So both of them, companies and entities affiliated to the two of them, sold these shares. Oba Otudeko's companies sold about 7.7 billion shares, and Tunde Hassan Odukale sold about 3 billion shares, and they were sold off the market. So, and they all had a uniform price of 31 naira per share. And today I have Mr. David Adonri joining me again. He's a stockbroker and the executive vice chairman of High Cap Securities. Glad to have you on Broad Street Drive today, Mr. Adonri.
Yeah, thank you very much, Hilary. I am also on the Zoom platform with you, but it's like you don't want to see my face, or your audience to see my face today.
No, not necessarily. We will walk around that shortly. We'll walk around that shortly. So if you are there, just hold on. Walk around there, and then my audience will get to see your face.
Okay, good. So you were talking about the Baker deal.
Yes, that's exactly.
Called on the talk of First Holdco.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a big one. It was a major deal that was consummated out of the market, but was eventually regularized through the market. And what was very clear at the very beginning when the transaction hit the market was that the sellers were two companies where number one, Oba Otudeko had majority shares, and then the second one owned by Hassan Odukale. Both of whom had been very active on the board of First Bank for a very, very long time. I think both of them had served variously as the chairman of First Bank. And so when the transaction hit the market, the disclosure that came along with it was that those were the sellers. But the challenge was actually figuring out who the buyer of the huge volume, totaling over 10 billion units, was. Eventually, we got information that it was bought by RC Management Company Limited, acting as the
Come again,
beneficial owner.
Come again, can you repeat who the buyer was or is?
Okay, did you hear the last point I made? I said eventually the buyer of the security became known, and it was linked to RC Investment Company Limited, that acted as trustees on behalf of the beneficial owners of the bought shares. So, it generated a lot of issues, especially among the investing public, as to who the beneficial owner of that large chunk was, against the backdrop that the current chairman of the bank, Femi Otedola, was said to have expressed his interest in buying out those other two major shareholders so as to consolidate his ownership of the bank. So a lot of fingers pointed initially to Femi Otedola, but eventually First Bank came up with their press statement that Femi Otedola was not involved in any way in the purchase of the shares. So the RC investment acting on behalf of the beneficial owner is still a thorny issue, because there are speculations that the beneficial owner may be the bank itself that had bought its own shares, warehousing it through the trustee. However, the beauty of it is that the issue went to the Securities and Exchange Commission, and later in the week, the Securities and Exchange Commission came up with a no objection approval for the transaction. So for all intents and purposes, the transaction has taken place. The 25% ownership that, of course, through that the divestment from those two major shareholders has already gone to RC Investment Company Limited, acting on behalf of some beneficial owners. So that is it. That is the situation as regards the acquisition of First Hold Co.
Now, the big question is, who are these beneficiaries? Who are the people behind this trustees? What do we know about them?
The only thing we know now, based on the disclosures available to the investing public, is that the 10 billion shares were bought by RC Investment Company Limited. And they were bought with RC Investment acting as the trustees. So we don't know who the beneficial owners are. I don't think that material information has been disclosed to the public. But however, all the necessary disclosures as mandated by the rules of law have been made. And so I think we can leave the matter as that. Since what is needed to be done has been done in terms of fulfilling the requirements of the law as far as disclosure is concerned.
Now let's talk about the law. Talking about the law, aren't there laws, both the CAMA and the laws establishing the NGX, that state that any person acquiring 5% or more of a listed company's shares directly or indirectly must be disclosed? I mean, is this enough disclosure to say this is a trustee, 25%, not 5%, not 7, not 10, not 20%, 25%, and we don't know the individuals, the faces behind that?
Also in the market, we have confidentiality clause in the market. And there's a limit to which the identity of the investors can be disclosed without their consent. So everything depends on the consent of the beneficial owners of the investment. Otherwise, in terms of fulfilling the provisions of the law, the disclosure that is required is the buyer, which has been done, which is RC Investment. So I think the onus now lie on you, the financial press, drill deeper through your investigative journalism to find out who the real beneficial owner of that parcel is, and then inform the investing public.
Oh, thank you. We'll certainly try and do our part. But I want to find out, what does this say about the corporate governance of First Hold Co? Does this threaten the position of the chairman, who I'm not sure, but I think owns less than 10%?
Yeah, that is the trick in it, because I think the chairman has about 15% or so, if I'm correct, of the total outstanding shares of the bank. So this other transaction has given this new buyer about 25%, which is the larger majority, and which ordinarily should give the new buyer the authority to constitute the board and also nominate the chairman for the board. But you see, transactions have different objectives. The people who went into this transaction will be doing so purely for portfolio management basis. And so they actually not also be interested in holding any position on the board of the company. So they have probably been buying the security as private equity investors that are just investing to make income through their investment. Well, so if that is the case, they may not be interested in seeking the chairman. But if their intention is control, of course, sooner or later, they will emerge to take control of the company. But as of now, we don't know what their intentions are.
And now that's over 10 billion shares of a top-tier bank holding company trading hands. Do you have an idea of what motivated Oba Otudeko to offload his shareholding?
Well, although generally in the market, it's difficult to identify the major reasons why an investor may have taken some investment decisions. So that would actually be his own reason. But if I may just guess, Matuleko has been a running battle with the bank.
Yeah, I was trying to find out if you can say some things to that, because I know there have been long-standing issues around corporate governance within the bank.
Yes, we have some financial issues to settle with the bank that is to his liability. So he needed some money with which to extinguish those liabilities. So the reason could be that he sold in order to raise money to settle the liabilities. And you see that after raising that money and exiting his ownership in the bank withdrew the case that they had against him in court, saying that they had no reason to continue to pursue the case anymore, since the issue in question has been resolved amicably. So that will therefore give an impression that the undertaker may have paid off his liability to the bank.
So,
and then
okay, go ahead.
For Odukale, who also sold us a major chunk, he had said that since we will not have control anymore, then what would be the point continuing his stay on the board of the business? Especially now that the market is good enough in terms of pricing for him to exit his position and move his money elsewhere. So he will probably go along that line to withdraw and not contest or go into a tussle with any person for the management, for the control of the bank, since it will enjoy some financial benefits and from sale. So those can be the main reasons.
So do we call this a forced takeover?
I beg your pardon?
Do we call this a forced takeover?
No. I do not. Well, I don't really know. I don't know how to characterize it. But I will not say it is, because it's a case of willing buyer, willing seller. It's not a case of a hostile acquisition. I don't think so, because the parties are sold, they sold willingly, and transactions in the market. But when you have the hostile takeover, it's when the buyer is surreptitiously buying without knowledge of the main owners of the enterprise. And suddenly the buyer comes to tell the existing owner that he has the majority and will therefore want to take control of the business. So that is where the issue of the hostile takeover comes. But in this case, I think they were willing buyers and willing sellers. That's what I think.
But let's talk about First Holdco and First Bank itself. How stable do you think the bank is, and do you think the bank will be able to meet the CBN's recapitalization targets?
Sorry, I didn't get the last part of your question.
Oh, so I was asking how stable do you think First Bank is right now, and the holding company, and do you think that First Bank will meet the Central Bank of Nigeria's recapitalization targets?
Yeah, because, First Hold Co, that is the holding company for First Bank, is a big bank and a technically significant bank in the finance industry. And they have already done their first round of capital raising, which was successful. So I believe that if they have any reason to come again to the market to raise additional funds, it will be quite successful, because we don't have any reason to believe that the bank is not moving in the right direction. Their fundamentals are strong, and there is no case of erosion of the customer confidence in the bank. So far, there is no run on the bank. Everything is moving on fine with the bank. So I think the bank is moving in a good direction. The only thing is the rapid changes that are occurring in the leadership of the bank. But I think the bank has a very solid management, up and down the rank and file of the management. And they are able to execute the policies of the board and make the bank competitive and profitable. So if that trajectory continues, notwithstanding the rapid changes that are occurring in the ownership, of course, the bank will be competitive and continue to create more wealth for its numerous shareholders.
Oh, so depositors have nothing to worry about in that case. Now, let's leave the depositors right now and talk about the average investor holding First Hold Co shares. What does this mean for the confidence in the stock? Is it a good time to sell, buy, hold?
Incidentally, the price of the stock is appreciating, which is an indication that investors' confidence in First Hold Co is still very, very strong. That security is widely held by so many investors. So it's like a legacy investment for a lot of people, which has been passed from one generation to the other, the present generation. So a lot of investors, especially the elderly investors, still put a lot of confidence in that institution. And I also think the vision of the new chairman is resonating well with investors. They are attracted to it because they are attracted to it.
Okay, Mr. Donry, the line is cracking a little bit. Let's take a short break, a quick break, and be right back.
Okay.
This is the most talked about talk station in Nigeria.
Ask my husband to do something. He doesn't want to. He has been a lazy man all his life.
Nigerians think raising children should just end up with domestic chores. We're not talking about cognitive abilities, travel to Mars and the sun and the moon. We're thinking of pounding yam and cooking soup.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
When it matters most, turn on your choice for the best of sports,
Manchester United 3, AFC Bournemouth 1.
news, and great conversations.
Ken has never changed anybody. It has only hardened people. Please let them ban it completely.
On 99.3 Nigeria Info. Depend on us for the best of talk.
I was a copy during my university days. The day I finished the initiation process, they were like, now today your trouble starts. And true, that's when your trouble starts.
How do you pull a trigger in a compound? No policeman that I know anywhere in the developed world will take a shot in that kind of place.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Here on Info, they call us on time.
Because we bring it right on time.
Anybody that wants to remove something to about build and repair.
You don't have to be an ordinary man.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We'll be right back.
99.3 Nigeria Info.
Your number one station for talk. Let's talk. 99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info.